I used to always wish that I could just skip the weekend and move right to Monday. Because as far as I could remember, the weekend for me and my family was the most painful thing for me. Because during the weekend, as far as I can remember, I would witness my parents argue and fight with each other, both verbally and physically. And being the eldest of 6 siblings, it was like I was not allowed to feel that pain. I had to be strong for my younger siblings. And that was around the same time that I started shoving all the pain that I felt deep, right deep within my heart, and not sharing it to anyone else. And I'm grateful to God that when I was in class 6, I didn't grow up in a church family, but when I was in class 6, my family, we moved to the village, and that's when we started going to church as a family. And that's when God started working in my parents' lives. And did the pain and the suffering end there? No, it was only the beginning. I went through so many other things, so many other hardships, so many other heartbreaking things in my life. And did I share it to anyone else? No, I kept shoving it deep, deep within my heart. And on top of it all, in school, I was constantly teased at for how I looked. And that's when I began to have insecurities with how I look. And back then when I was a child growing up, I used to pray and I questioned God, like, God, why is all these things happening to me? It would have been better if I was just not born. And I harbored all this, I had all these trust issues, this bitterness in my heart, this resentment, betrayal. I had harbored it all within my heart, and I had just shoved it down. And as a result, when I was in high school, I started having anxiety attacks constantly. I started having anxiety attacks, and then I started going to counselors. In school, I attended all-girls boarding school, so I started seeing a counselor. And then when I went to university, I also started seeing a counselor in USP. But that never changed. That did no change for me at all. The pain was still there. And I think that 2018, that was my turning point for me. I made a decision to myself, enough is enough. So during one of my fasting programs in 2018, I remember I was praying in my room, and then God showed me this image of this, this person with all these chains attached to his back. And that person it was hard for that person to move forward. And after God showed me that image, I knelt down and I prayed to God. I asked the Holy Spirit, please show me, what does this mean? And the Holy Spirit showed me, you are that person. And all that chains, that's all the chains of bitterness, all the chains of anger, rage, that you have been holding within your heart. And that's hindering you, that's causing you to be, that was making it hard for you to achieve all that I have planned out for you. And I knelt beside my bed that evening, and I prayed to God, and I asked God, I cried out to God, and I asked God, please God, help me to deal with all these chains and set me free from all these chains. Before that, when I was I forgot to mention something. When I was in Form 6, the pain was too much for me to handle. I actually tried to commit suicide. I overdosed myself with pills, but luckily nothing serious happened. And I just fainted, and I don't think any of my family realized that, because they would probably just thought that I slept. It was in the nighttime. But yeah, I tried to commit suicide. And looking back, I'm grateful to God that my life did not end there. And now that God had so much planned for me.